What's going on, guys? So I got to show you all something. So we picked up this DynaTrap 3. We actually got this at like one of those overstock stores where, you know, I guess Sam's Club and everybody sends their stuff when they have too much stuff or whenever they're needing to get rid of things. But yeah, we picked up one and it was opened and it didn't work. It was probably burnt out bulb, but the fan didn't appear to work. But this is really cool, and out here we have a ton of bugs. I mean, mosquitoes everywhere, every bug you could imagine. And I was really hesitant about this thing when I saw it because I think the normal price on one of these is like, I've seen some for like $350. I've seen some for $150. This one was $120 over there. I know they still make them on Amazon and they have different versions of it. But in essence, what this does is this specific one is really large. It's about 2 feet tall. It's about 1 foot wide, and it's made to cover an acre. Now, I don't think that's realistically possible because, you know, even though the light in there is bright enough that it will probably attract bugs from, you know, a good distance away, I still see bugs flying around. That said, I think it does exactly what it's designed to do in the sense of really capturing a lot of bugs, because we've had it out here now for about 3 days. 3 days. And just look at the bugs that we're not only in the process of capturing. Got a praying mantis up there, moths all over it. But look inside. It is absolutely insane. And those are all bugs. Those aren't leaves or anything. They're moths. They're all bugs. Mosquitoes. Everything you could imagine is inside of there right now. You see a mosquito flying up to it. And the way this works is the light attracts them to it. Then once they get to it, there's a fan that simply creates downward pressure. And it blows out this way. But yeah, the fan is below that little mesh area. And it pulls the bugs in, trapping them in here and even pinning them on top of the little platform right there. But that is super freaking cool. Again, I don't think it's like making a huge difference, but well, you know, I take that back. I don't see as many mosquitoes. I don't see as many other types of bugs as you might normally see. The beetles, where they're flying everywhere, I don't see them because look inside of here. See if I can zoom in properly. And it's stinky too. It's just all the bugs that are dying in there smell, and you can actually see some flapping their wings trying to get out. But it doesn't use chemicals, doesn't zap them, doesn't do any of that. It just simply traps them and they can't get back out, and it is working so well for what it is. I did not have my hopes up with this. I honestly didn't. The only thing I've heard negatively really about this is that the lights burn out after a couple of months, but the bulbs are like 15 bucks. I think I bought 2 of them for 15 bucks. So if for some reason the bulb burns out, I'll just put another bulb in it. But it is absolutely capturing a tremendous amount of bugs. It's insane how many bugs it's capturing inside of there. To even very, very small bugs. But anyways, I just wanted to show you guys this real quick because, yeah, for 120 bucks, works perfectly. It's doing what it says it's supposed to do. Very, very cool. This is a DynaTrap 3, and I think they have smaller versions of this as well, but this is the one we got because it's supposed to cover about an acre. And it is absolutely getting some bugs that are probably normally way off in the distance flying up to it. Very cool. Okay, so we have the Scag Cheetah 2 over here, getting underneath it to clean off some of the grass buildup, and then we have the Toro over here. This is the Z-Master 2000 HDX. This is the one that the folks over at Toro provided complimentary on the channel for review and evaluation. And yeah, we have been reviewing and evaluating it for 84.2 hours. So this thing's got a good amount of time on it. The Scag, on the other hand, what's this one say on the computer? We are at 13 hours on the Scag. So significantly less cutting time on the Scag versus the Toro. Again, we use the Toro as kind of like a UTV around here. We load this thing up with stuff and take it all over the property with the weed eater. But what I want to talk about now is actually a cutting comparison when we just recently cut the grass here, because the grass here was as tall as the grass over there. This is a bit taller because it hasn't been maintained. But you can see the grass over here is insanely tall. It's about 3 foot tall, maybe taller in some spots. And that's how all of this was back here. You can even see some of the areas where the mower went over it, and the Scag was actually used to cut this back part, whereas the Toro cut the front main part over there. And to kind of show you, all the grass was like this, but it was super dense. This whole area was just incredibly dense with grass. And yeah, the Scag did probably as much as the Toro did, just different parts of the yard. Now, this is the interesting thing. So the Toro performs amazingly, and it does really well in relatively tall grass. The Scag, which has significantly more horsepower, it's a much larger gas engine. It's like 38 horsepower versus like 23.5 or something like that. The reality is the Scag was a little bit more effortless in the sense of going through the really tall stuff. It didn't feel like it bogged down as much. However, when you look at the cut results really aren't that great. You can see how the grass is still up high in a couple areas. Now, this is what was kind of interesting. So the Toro, I went much slower through the taller grass. I mean, I probably went slow walking speed with the Toro. Both of them set at 3.5 inches. The one advantage that the Scag had was the fact that the deck underneath was much cleaner. It didn't have nearly as much compacted grass on it as the Toro. The Toro had quite a bit. I mean, it was pretty packed in under there, and it was coming off in chunks. Whereas the Scag does have some of that, just not quite as much as the Toro. The Toro, though, performed very well considering the fact that it has significantly less horsepower. So that was kind of one of the really nice messages with all of this. Because I was going so slow, the MyRide system, the suspension system here, worked really well. It was such a comfortable ride on the Toro. But overall, though, you're talking about a difference between about $6,000 between the two mowers. So this one performed really well considering. All right, so if you look under the Scag, this is the kind of stuff that's coming off the bottom of the deck. It's compacted under there, but not nearly as much as it was on the Toro. The Toro was like really caked on underneath, and it was probably 4 or 5 times as much material underneath the Toro versus the Scag. Now, I don't know if that is just how efficient the decks are in terms of cleaning themselves off and how they blow stuff out, or if that vacuuming feature where it pulls up the grass, kind of sucks it up and spits it out, is one of the reasons why the Toro was, you know, compacted as much as it was under there. So I'm not exactly sure. It could be an efficiency thing. It could actually be more efficient, or it could be that the Cheetah, the Scag, actually just does a better job. It's hard to say. What I can tell you overall, though, is that from a consistency of cut, I feel as if the Scag was able to power through it a little better, but it didn't cut quite as well when it did go through it. Whereas the Toro was slower. If I sped up any faster, I felt like it would stall on me, but the cut was more consistent. The cut was cleaner. It was at the right height in more areas. And back here, I can clearly see where a lot of it doesn't even look like it was cut. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of it. And again, when you're going over grass that's really tall, you're pushing a lot of it down and laying it over other grass which is shorter, which is one of the reasons why you experience that. But I didn't experience as much of that with the Toro versus the Scag. But on the flip side of that coin, the Scag's a lot easier to clean up after mowing that type of grass versus the Toro. Okay, so this is what the Scag left behind. And unfortunately, we didn't record the Toro whenever it was done being cleaned, but it was probably 3 to 4 times that amount. I mean, the whole bottom of the deck was literally caked with dead grass. So again, it may just be the difference in how efficient the two are. It's hard to say. I mean, those of you who are lawn care professionals and you run different types of mowers, what do you look for in a good performing mower? I know you want it to eject the stuff out, but this stuff is wet because the yard was kind of damp and we were trying to catch it between rainstorms. Are you looking for a deck that sucks everything up and spits it out, and in some cases sucks it up and keeps it there when it compacts in? Or are you looking for a deck that just spits everything out but may not cut as efficiently? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out, is which one really performed better. Because to me it seems like, okay, the Toro, if it was clumped up more underneath, there's two things. It could be either a problem with how it spits it out, or it could actually just suck everything up so much more efficiently that it just naturally is going to collect under there in any areas where it's rough or where there's, not a quick exit point. But yeah, definitely leave a comment below. I'm really interested in finding out how you determine which mower works best in that kind of a, damp environment where the grass is wet, super tall, and what you expect to see whenever you look at your decks after you've, mowed the grass. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.